I ordered these GIK acoustic panels last week on a deal where you can buy 4 and get 1 free, and they just came in the mail today. As you can see, they're pretty large, and I am excited to get them installed in my space. One of the first things I want to show you is what my space sounds like right now. And you can probably hear from my voice, it's a little bit echoey in here, especially if you're listening with headphones, you'll hear that. And it's because I don't have any real soft absorbent surfaces to absorb sound, except perhaps my couch. And these panels are designed to absorb a lot of sound, and specifically they're designed to absorb some bass. So I haven't bought subwoofers yet. My plan was just to, get a good TV, get some decent speakers, but then I wanted to get the room treated, and then after getting the room treated, I'll be adding some subwoofers and some rear speakers and Atmos speakers. I just pulled this out of the box, and already I can see there's a little area over here where the wood frame allows you to grip it like this if you ever need to carry it around. Also, this is 5.5 inches thick almost, so it's actually thick enough that you can just let it stand on the floor by itself without any kind of stand. And these are the GIK 244 bass absorbing panels. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up this. I did get the Guilford of Maine cloth, just in case there was a little quality boost that you get with that cloth. I wasn't sure if there was, but a lot of audiophiles prefer that. And I vacuumed my floor before setting this on my floor. Seemed like a good idea just to make sure I don't get a bunch of debris on these. Now soon I'm going to be mounting these on my wall, but for now you can see what it would look like just setting on the floor. And here is the reverse side of it. And there's a nice little GIK logo it's actually at the top. This thing is upside down at the moment. So I'm going to just flip it over. And yeah, you can see they've got a little GIK signature logo here at the top. Now what I want to do is try finding the first position for the first panel. And GIK advised me that the most important position for me to cover is actually right behind the speakers. That way you get like a clear sound stage. So I'm just going to be moving my furniture out a little bit and placing the panels right behind it. I don't want to accidentally scratch the panel here with the speaker, so I'm going to move it just a little bit further out, actually. Believe it or not, I actually almost had a medical emergency when I was trying to set this up, so let me show you what happened. Basically, I was trying to move my speaker away from the wall, but of course I had this actually really tightly connected here for visual appearances. Then I also have these speaker stands that are on spikes, and I have this which doesn't actually attach in any way to the speaker stand, so it can easily fall off of the speaker stand. So between all of these things, basically this speaker came kind of tumbling onto my head, and luckily I was able to avoid it, avoid it falling on me. It did slightly ding my wall, but I'm not too worried about that. Suffice it to say, you should be careful when you're moving your speakers away from your wall, especially if you have some kind of, careful wire management like you see over here, where the wires are pretty tight. My first idea was to put this actually in the corner because I'd heard that bass accumulates in the corners the most, and therefore that's one of the most important areas that you want to be able to absorb sound. However, you'll see there's an issue, and it's kind of rocking back and forth. And the reason for that is that I have my speaker cable channeling along the bottom of the wall and then over to the speaker. And so there's a cable running right here. So this would be resting right on top of the cable, and that cable is thick enough that it's able to really destabilize this. So I have a couple options. One is I can simply hang this on the wall. And I think that if I were doing this as a permanent solution, I would start drilling nails and stuff into the wall. I think that the first thing I want to do is I just want to test it and make sure that it really does sound better, and also just to check that these are good positions for it. And so I think what I want to do starting out is just line this along the wall And then I'll get the cord to run right through here. And then I'll have a second panel kind of fanning around this. This is my second time getting these out of the box, and I realized that you cannot just pull this up in order to get this out. It might slip out of there anyway. The best way to do it really is to flip it on its side like this, and then flip it upside down, and then you just simply pull up. Jiggle this until it comes out the bottom. Don't apply too much pressure. That way it can slide out. These are fairly tightly packed, so if you're squeezing too hard on the sides, it's not going to slide out. It takes me about a minute to get it out of the box using this approach. You can kind of lift the box using your arms to get it the rest of the way out. Okay, and they've taped these on here, so just be careful, obviously. Looks like they've attached some cord, which might be useful for hanging these, I guess. Okay, so I have my second panel over here, and now I am going to try sliding in this new panel. And I just have left a gap for the cord to snake through the bottom. And one other thing I want to try doing is moving this in a little bit. I'll just angle my speaker a little bit towards my listening position. This is the current setup, and I have to say it is not what I actually intended. I have run into two problems. One is that I cut my speaker wires too tight when I was initially setting this up. I just didn't want extra speaker wire, and I thought I had it all perfectly measured, but you can see now I need to actually channel the wire all the way around here and then up here. So just a quick lesson, if you are ever setting up your own home theater, give yourself an extra couple coils of wire when you are cutting your speaker wire for a speaker like this. You can hide those coils behind your stand, behind your speaker stand. Like, I'm sure I could have found a way to do this if I had thought about it, but I didn't realize that I would ever need too much extra give, but it turns out I do. Okay, now the other mistake is kind of similar. I have this TV too tight against the wall. And the good thing is I did buy a stand that articulates, and so the whole mount can actually advance forward into my room 6 inches or more. So the good news is I should be able to adjust that stand. The bad news is that, you know, it's a little bit of a mess back there. And I did try reading the manual, but it doesn't quite address what screws need to be tightened or loosened in order to loosen that up so that it can advance away from the wall. Now you might be wondering, did this work? Does it sound any better?
Pleased to announce that NCOM's last fiscal year was our most profitable ever. Yes.
Now, I was just recording that with my iPhone, that way you would hear the room. So my personal impression of the sound is that I'm hearing crisper noises. So like when they're clapping, I can really hear that like snapping instead of it being kind of muffled. And then same thing with the music. I think you can just hear individual beats or individual music, strings and effects, whatever it is. It just sounds crisper and more precise. That's my impression. It is making some difference, although it's not like, you know, theater level yet. And in a future video, I'll show you the rest of this project.